everyone. So like a lot of other YNABers, folks are kind of digging into the Conscious Spending Plan, or CSP, which is a tool from Ramit Sethi. He wrote I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and he has a Netflix show and a podcast and a YouTube channel. Highly recommend checking him out. I used to use the CSP actually before I started using YNAB, but found that YNAB worked better for my purposes and kind of allows me to be a little bit more flexible. So yeah, I don't use the CSP as like my daily driver anymore, but it's a great tool to use, kind of understand, you know, where your money is going. And, you know, his main takeaway is that this category, which is guilt-free spending, right? Like folks should spend their dollars on things that make them happy. And YNAB kind of teaches you to do this too in a different way, where you have your own categories and you're kind of able to assign your dollars, right, to jobs for things that you want or you want to save for, etc. So there's different ways to do it, but I just thought I'll go through the CSP in terms of like what I would do if I was to use this if I wasn't using YNAB, just to kind of get a sense of yeah, where it's at and where I'm at if I was to use this tool. So first things first, you start by kind of capturing your net worth. So assets, investments, savings, and debt, and then you kind of go through and put in, you know, your dollars, and essentially all of these will just sum and pull based on what numbers you kind of put in here. So I think, yeah, so these should add up. Like they already have the formulas in here and you don't need to like do anything extra. I want to make sure that should be pulling in, because I had deleted some stuff. Yeah, okay, it's pulling in the correct amounts. Cool. So first things first, I will update this because it's really just the things that, you know, for yourself. Like if I was to do this right and actually set this up, I would want to make sure that I know what I'm putting in each category. So really for me, for assets, it's my car plus my home. So right now my house is worth around $900,000, and my car, very reasonable estimate of 5,000. It's an old car, but you know, does what it needs to do. And if I was to trade it in today, I could probably get around 5 grand for it. So I'm just going to consider that the asset. I don't owe any money on my car, so that's why I can consider it an asset and not a liability. So for investments right now, I have my other sheet off to the side because, you know, I do a lot of other tracking of things. But I think as of last week, I've officially passed the 200K mark, which is exciting. Obviously this number will fluctuate, right? Your investments and things usually fluctuate because of the market. So this is just a very rough like estimate. Could be more, could be less, but it should be around this for me right now. And then as far as savings goes, I'm just going to look in YNAB and quickly add some things together so that I know what I have saved up. I'm not going to be including my property tax savings because I need to spend that next month. Though I guess technically I could add it in. Let's just do it. Let's just add all of the savings accounts so that I have a relatively reasonable idea of what I have going on. Okay, so $44-ish, $44-ish thousand. Let's just round it up, no problem. And then for debt, so I do have a mortgage, and then the only other debt I have outside of my mortgage is my student loans. So I'm just gonna update this. I don't carry credit card debt. Cool. And that is around $627,000 altogether. I live in a super high cost of living area, so most 90% of this is my mortgage, and I have about $80,000 in student loan debt, but I have a plan for that, so I'm not worried. Cool. So right now, looks like my total net worth is, I wish this was green rather than red, because it's not a negative number, but that's okay. I will make it green. Yay. Yeah, so just around $500,000, which is awesome. I didn't, honestly, a couple years ago, I wouldn't have thought that I would be in the green. So this is really, really wonderful, and good progress for me. So I'm not going to put in my gross monthly income, because it doesn't really matter for any of the line items here. I will, however, put in my net monthly income because that's what's going to be used, right? That's the dollars that I take home every month, and that's what I can actually use towards all the things below. So I get paid twice a month, and my total amount of money that I take home every month is almost $9,000. And the reason for this, though I didn't put my gross monthly income, is because I put money towards like my 401k, my HSA, and I have other like stock stuff that I do before I take home money. And yeah, that's all calculated in my gross. And then my net is after taxes slash all of those kind of deductions, I would call them. So that's why I've just calculated, or rather input this number rather than kind of the total number here. So you can decide what you want to do, but for me right now, and because I'm sharing this, you know, with folks on the internet, I'm not going to put in my gross monthly income. Okay, so other things that are included. So now we move down to like the three kind of main buckets, which are fixed costs, four buckets: investments, savings goals, and guilt-free spending. So as I put these, you know, amounts in, guilt-free spending will reduce, and the number that's kind of left there is, you know, like it says, your guilt-free spending, whatever you want to use it on. So my mortgage, and I'm actually going to include my HOA payment here, because I do consider that like all it, you know, I have to pay these things, so may as well include them all together. And this is what I budget every month for that. And as you can see, yeah, I already spent a significant amount of my money on my mortgage and my HOA. But again, I live in a very high cost of living area, so this is kind of honestly less than I would pay if I paid rent for the size of house that I have in the location that I want to live in. So it is what it is. I know people will probably be like, you could sell your house, you can move. I could do all of those things, correct? But I'm not going to right now, so I just got to make it work. Cool. As far as utilities go, I just have an electric payment. Gas and everything else is included in my HOA. And then I should actually put that in here. And then internet, I don't have cable. So it's just really gas and internet that are, I would consider like utilities. And that is $120 a month for my gas, and I think it's like $78 for my internet, so $198. Insurance, this is just auto insurance, home insurance, I just put about $62 there, and then life insurance is $58. Cool. So that's like $225. I don't have a car payment, but I do pay for gas. And I set aside money every month for my maintenance, just, you know, for things that come out of it. So for this, I set aside $70 a month for gas. Sorry, I'm looking at YNAB because I have my monthly kind of costs there broken down. So I have 70 bucks a month for gas, and then what I call wheels and deals is $139.17. So that's $209.17. Cool. Debt payments. So this is really just my student loan debt. My minimum payment is, what is it? Oh my gosh, where is that? Oh, there we go. Okay. My minimum payment is $685.61. But will put a note here. I pay $600 extra to this every month because I want to pay it down faster. So I'm calculating here just my minimum because if something happened, you know, for some reason lose a job, or you have to kind of make things work because there's a different like emergency that happens, I know I need to cover at least this much. So I want to kind of use the CSP to calculate just based on the minimums, and then, you know, I can always move things around as necessary. Cool. So for groceries, I budget $400 a month. For clothes, I don't have a budget line. I do have a line in YNAB for clothes, which is essentials, and it's just 80 bucks. I don't fund it every month because as long as I don't spend it, it just sits there. So I'm just going to consider this zero for now. And then my phone, I pay yearly, but I set aside $30 a month for my phone. Subscriptions, I'm not going to change all of this, but basically I have a subscriptions line item, and that is 90 bucks a month for subscriptions. Okay. So here, right, Ramit has added in this miscellaneous line item, which basically takes the sum of everything you've added up here and then adds another 15% to it. For most YNABers and probably other people who kind of break out their categories, especially for true expenses, so things that you're saving up for that aren't necessarily like monthly spends, but you're saving for them on a regular basis so that when the expense hits, you have the money set aside for it. Those kinds of things probably fall into this miscellaneous category. So if I didn't want to double count this, right, I would probably reduce this 15% or change it. For now, I'm going to leave it here just because I think let's go back and look at it after I add in some things. The other item I did want to add here, because I set aside money for my property taxes every month. So yeah, see, if you add this up, now it's going to be missed because I forgot to put another. I guess I could just do B12 through B21. Why doesn't it like it? I don't know. Okay, well, we're gonna have to add that number in. So B13. There we go. Okay, so see that 15%. I'm gonna make my fixed costs extremely high, which, to be fair, you know, is probably reasonable. I don't think 15% is reasonable, since I do kind of more meticulous about like figuring out what I need to save for each month. So I'll add that in the notes after I go through the rest of this. But essentially, if this was 76%, right, there's no way that I'm going to be hitting some of these other goals. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Okay, so as far as investments go, I set aside $250 here, and I set aside another $250 here. I know it's supposed to be 10% of my take home. It's only 6% right now. That's okay. I contribute pretty much my max in my 401k, and I get a substantial employer match. So my retirement is on track. And as far as like investing outside, you know, by myself, right now this is what I'm comfortable with, because I am, again, like I said, putting the $600 extra towards my student loan payments. So yeah, I want to pay that down as fast as possible, reasonably, while still like doing other things that I want to do in my life. And because of that, I still am investing some, right, on a monthly basis, because time in the market is great, but I'm not investing as aggressively as if I didn't have this student loan payment. I could put all of that probably towards investments or savings. So it's okay for now. Again, this is just a template to like figure out where your money's at and make better decisions. I have thought about a lot of this previously to using the CSP, and because I've used the CSP historically, I was able to move some things around and kind of figure out what makes sense. And actually that's even why I knew that I could put an extra $600 towards my student loan debts. So yeah, it's a tool, you know, use it the way that you need to for your life. But these are like suggestions, and you know, the goal will be for me to get above 10% at some point. But right now, as I'm paying my student loans off, I want to just focus on that, and not worry too much about these things. Cool. And then for savings, so I know I put $450 aside for vacation. Gifts, I have it at around like $90, because it just depends on what I'm saving towards. Long-term emergency fund is right now around $400. So this will change, right? Again, once I'm fully funded with my 6 months, I will stop contributing this, and this money could also go towards investments. I think if I save at this rate, I think it's about a year and a half more till I hit my target. But again, things can come in, extra money can come in, and so all of this can change. And then I do also have, is there any other savings that I really worry about? I think I'll just call them like, I have a sinking, I guess I can call them sinking funds. So I do 133 in one sinking fund. I do 25 towards like home stuff every month. I save for my credit card annual payment every month. I think those are the main sinking funds that I have. Yeah, cool. Other than gifts. So gifts is also in a sinking fund, but it's just, we split it out. All right, so technically, according to this, that leaves me with $500-ish a month for guilt-free spending. And I think that kind of aligns with where I'm at in terms of how I've budgeted in YNAB for things like treat myself, which is self-care, my eating out, sloth time, things like that. Yeah, I do think that this number is too high, just given it's taking all of this into account, including my property tax, which is, you know, crazy. So clearly, if this was to go down, so say I did like 5%, maybe that's more reasonable, just because I do budget. Yeah, that's more closely aligned to like my junk drawer, which I have as a line item in YNAB, and that I put $300, refill up to $300, like if I use any money from it. So this makes sense. And actually I think that, yeah, that brings me up a bit here. But if I put the 600 here, ooh, that's not how that works. Gotta put it at equals. Okay, so still a crazy fixed cost amount, but you know, that's life. Okay, about $500. So not too far off from where I'm at in YNAB. Obviously, this number is very low, right? Like if I wanted to spend 20% of my income, I'd have to either make more or somehow reduce all of this. But right now it is what it is. Once this is gone, it's going to be so much nicer because I can, let's just take this out and see. Like that drops us down significantly to like 60%, which is amazing. And then that's like brings me up here to 20. And if I do that, and then I can add, I don't know what's, even if I double this, I'm still at like 15% for guilt-free spending, which is awesome. And I could, you know, probably would get rid of this at some point. So yeah, there's a plan in place. I will get there eventually. Right now, this is where life is, and that's okay. But yeah, just wanted to kind of show you guys how I use the CSP and also talk you through just not being like overwhelmed by the numbers you see here. It's okay to be at a different place. We all have to start somewhere. So really honestly using this as a tool to just get a hold and like understanding of where you're at. And then using tools like either the CSP or YNAB or however else you want to budget to start moving towards some of these goals will ultimately really help all of us on our personal finance journeys. So that's my walkthrough of the CSP. Thanks for watching this video. It would be great if you could hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment, get notified when I post more videos. And as always, I'll see you on the next video of Noodlenomics.